As the title to this video suggests, I have been living here in the Spokane area for 5 years now, and while I'm clearly not from here, I do consider myself a local now, and I have some thoughts about the experience so far that I wanted to share with you. These are things that you can only learn about a place if you've lived there for an extended period of time. I'm not talking about the surface level stuff here, I'm talking about what's deep below the surface. My name is Phil Wells. I'm a real estate agent licensed in Washington and Idaho that calls Spokane home. In this video, I'm not gonna look at the pros and cons of living in Spokane. That's been done by me and others over the years. Instead, we're gonna dig a little bit deeper, see what's really going on here, what people complain about, what people like, and what people think about the future. And just to be clear what I'm talking about here, I'm talking about the whole region of Spokane, not just the city. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to discuss is the people here. For the most part, whether people were born and raised here or they've moved here recently, the people here are wonderful. They seem to all be united by a sort of common interest, and that is living in the inland northwest and all that it has to offer. There's a reason people choose to move here and that they don't move to larger cities, and for people that were born here, there's a reason that they stick around. And I can't really explain it other than the fact that if we live here, it's because we want to live here. And that seems to unite people. Over the years, as you'd imagine, I've helped people move to Spokane and the inland northwest more generally from all over the country. And nearly always people remark on just how friendly and warm the people are here. One client, for example, bought a home on a busy street and remarked on the fact that at rush hour, people would always let him back out of his driveway without too much delay. Another client, a retired couple, had lived their whole life in Los Angeles and had never gotten to know their neighbor. Within a week of moving here, they'd been invited over for dinner by their neighbor and were blown away. And it goes on and on. It's these small things, these positive things that add up to a nice vibe and environment that people really remark on. People here tend to have a small town mentality, not that big city hostility. They're the sorts of people that will stop and give you the time of day, that will watch your dog when you go away for a few days, and will help you unload that couch that you bought on Facebook Marketplace. I really hope Spokane never stops being this way because it's one of the area's biggest draws. Now, I do want to balance this out by touching on the bad because yes, there is bad here in Spokane. There is a criminal underclass that operate largely outside the law. It's common to see uninsured drivers without a license driving around, openly buying drugs, consuming drugs, stealing, and generally being a nuisance. And prosecutors and police will largely do nothing about it. I have spoken to people involved in law enforcement, police officers, sheriffs, and local prosecutors, and they have confirmed exactly what I just said. For the most part, these people will be let out either the next day or the very same day, so much so that the police usually don't even respond to these kinds of incidents. Now, unfortunately, I know full well that this isn't an issue unique to Spokane. You will find this in any major metro area across the United States, but I don't want people to think for 1 minute that it's absent from Spokane. Fortunately, if law and order is one of your top criteria for a place to live, you can do yourself a favor by choosing to live in county jurisdiction rather than city jurisdiction, or you can choose to live across the border in Idaho, where the political landscape is radically different and the attitude to law enforcement is much, much stronger. Don't forget, I'm licensed in Washington and Idaho, so I can help you wherever you choose to land. Now, let's get the tough point out the way. Let's pick up more on politics because I've already mentioned it. And I want to do this very delicately because I don't want to put anyone of any political persuasion off. In fact, over the years, I pride myself on the fact that I've worked with people of every political persuasion and have gotten on with them well. And that is my intention moving forward too. So I'll try my best just to deal in facts. The fact is, Washington state is a blue state. It's voted Democrat for many years and is by no means a swing state. What's also true is that Spokane County has voted Republican for many years and is by no means a swing county. So what's it like, you might ask, being a red island in a blue sea? Well, I'd like to give you anecdotes from clients that I've had in the past to try and answer this. Those right-wing clients that I've helped move here understand that living in Washington represents something of a compromise for them. On the one hand, they pay no income tax, which is great for them. On the other hand, they have stricter gun control laws, and they have to pay 50 cents per gallon carbon tax on their gasoline. For my more left-leaning clients that have moved here, they are often struck by just how right-leaning the Spokane area is, particularly as you get outside the major population center. People also remark on more subtle things like how many churches there are here and how high church attendance is. But remember what I said before, people for the most part tend to be pretty warm and friendly here and don't really, in my experience at least, wear their politics on their sleeve. I think it helps that, like I said before, we're not in a swing state here. As I'm recording this video right now, we are only 2 weeks away from the 2024 presidential election, and I have to say, there is no heightened political rhetoric on the local level that I can see anyway. I think there's just a subconscious understanding that red-leaning Spokane isn't going to flip deep blue Washington anytime soon, and that if people really need it out for political reasons, statistically the reddest state in the union is only a stone's throw away, that being Idaho, of course. I think most would agree that we have a good thing going here in Spokane, and most political viewpoints can respect that. That is my political segment out the way. We're going to move on now, and if you've got through this without knowing which side of the aisle I'm on, then good, that was my intention. Okay, next up, one thing to know about Spokane is that things are changing here. Spokane is rapidly growing. It's growing from east to west and north to south, and it won't be long before the newcomers outnumber those that have been here since the beginning. And while that isn't necessarily a bad thing, I know that people coming into the area bring money, and with that comes jobs, and I'm conscious of the fact that I'm one of those newcomers. But it would be foolish to suggest that rapid change won't cause friction, and to some extent can create an us versus them mentality. It's also a fact that just in the time that I've been here in Spokane, the median home price has risen from $268,000 to $420,000. Now I know something happened in 2020 that caused people to go nuts and home prices to increase rapidly. We've also experienced massive inflation in recent years, so a lot of this can be put on external factors. But be aware there is a present, albeit quiet, grumble from people that have either been born and raised here or people that have been here for a long time that things aren't necessarily changing for the better. It's not everyone you meet by any means, but you may occasionally encounter this sort of attitude if you choose to move here, so just don't be surprised by it, that's all I'm saying. That said, from my perspective at least, I think everyone needs to work hard to preserve what makes Spokane Spokane. That includes being kind to your neighbor, greeting people as you pass them, and yes, letting them back out their driveway on a busy street at rush hour. It's small actions to you, but it adds up to a larger vibe for an area. And that's the reason that we fell in love with Spokane. And that can have a real impact on people and makes it a nice place to live. Some things, of course, about Spokane will never change. The mountains and rivers and natural beauty aren't going away, but the vibe of a place can change overnight, and we need to protect that. The next thing you'll need to know is that Spokane is a car-dependent place. There really aren't too many walkable areas here. Now there are some, and I have made a video about this, and you can check that out at the top right of this video now. But for the most part, to go about your daily life, to get your essentials, you will be driving a lot. Of course, in today's age, you could get deliveries for just about everything, but not everybody's lifestyles or jobs afford them that luxury. Another thing to consider is that when you move here, you will see a large amount of Subarus and trucks and four-wheel drive vehicles. There is a reason for that. We have a lot of unpaved roads, and we have a lot of roads that are several seasons past their scheduled maintenance. It also snows a lot here, so to have some good ground clearance will really save you, as I found out when I tore the skid plate off my sedan after only 2 seasons of living here in Spokane. Next, I wanted to talk about the activities available here. Always there is a comment from someone saying it's boring and there's nothing to do. I have never been able to understand this sentiment. We have groups, clubs, organizations, religious organizations for every single persuasion. We have more bars and restaurants than you could possibly hope to visit. In fact, Spokane is seen as something of a restaurant incubator, and chefs and larger businesses will actually trial concepts here in Spokane before they're rolled out in larger cities like Seattle. In fact, here's a list of a dozen restaurants that have just opened and are about to open in the area, so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm also reliably informed by my soldiers, and if you don't know, I'm an NCO in the Army Reserve. I'm reliably informed by my soldiers that there are good bars, clubs, and casinos here too that offer some great nightlife. On top of the man-made things to do, we have more outdoor activities here than you could possibly imagine. If you're into water sports, hiking, fishing, four-wheeling, hunting, skiing, you can do it here. Essentially, if you can do it outdoors, you can do it in the Spokane area, or the inland northwest more generally. So there is a variety of things to do here that far outweighs what you'd expect from a mid-sized city. So I simply don't know what these people are complaining about. They must not have left the area and know what other cities have to offer. Sure, there is less variety overall than a much larger city, but this is to be expected and shouldn't come as a surprise. That's it for this video. I'm not from here, but I do consider myself a local, and I hope I was able to impart some good local knowledge about what it's like beneath the surface here in Spokane and what you can expect if you move here. Please comment, like, and subscribe. That tells YouTube that I'm doing a good job, and YouTube will show my content to more people, so it really does help me out by engaging with these videos. If you'd like to get in touch with me, maybe you've decided that Spokane is the place for you, or after watching this video, maybe you've decided you want out. Either way, I can help you, and my details will be in the description to this video. Until the next video, my name is Phil Wells, and thank you for watching.